Aku's stunning beauty has become a curse. Every man who dares to propose to her meets a tragic end, and she's left wondering if she's the cause of their demise. Unbeknownst to Aku, a ghost named Ejiro has been visiting her every night, drawn to her beauty and kindness. As their intimacy deepens, Aku begins to uncover the truth about Ejiro's past and the reason behind his haunting presence. Aku's eyes sparkled like diamonds in the Lagos evening light. Her stunning beauty had always been a double-edged sword, attracting admirers like moths to a flame. But there was something peculiar about Aku's life. Every man who dared to propose to her met a tragic end. Some said it was a curse, while others whispered about a malevolent spirit. Aku's daily life was a balancing act between her job as a marketing executive and her social life. She navigated the bustling streets of Lagos with ease, her long hair flowing behind her like a river of night. Despite her beauty, Aku felt like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit. She longed for connection, for love, but the strange occurrences surrounding her made her wonder if she was destined to be alone. As she walked home from work, Aku couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, she heard a faint whisper in her ear. "Aku, my beauty." She spun around, but there was no one there. The whisper seemed to come from all around her, echoing off the buildings. Aku's skin crawled as she realized she wasn't alone. She felt a presence lurking in the shadows, watching her every move. The air seemed to thicken, heavy with an otherworldly energy. Aku's instincts screamed at her to run, but her feet seemed rooted to the spot. As she stood there, frozen in fear, a figure emerged from the darkness. His eyes gleamed with an ethereal light, and his presence seemed to fill the entire street. Aku's heart skipped a beat as she realized that she was face to face with a ghost. The ghost's eyes locked onto hers, and Aku felt a jolt of electricity run through her body. She knew that her life was about to change forever. But how? And why? The ghost vanished as suddenly as he appeared, leaving Aku shaken and confused. She took a deep breath and continued walking home, her mind racing with questions. Who was the ghost, and what did he want from her? Was she truly cursed, or was there something more sinister at play? As Aku walked, the city lights twinkling around her, she felt a sense of trepidation. She knew that she was walking into the unknown, and she wasn't sure if she'd make it out alive. The darkness seemed to be closing in around her, and she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being pulled into a world beyond her own. The night air was heavy with secrets, and Aku's heart was racing with anticipation. She knew that she had to uncover the truth about the ghost and the strange occurrences surrounding her. But as she approached her apartment building, she felt a sense of unease. Was she ready for what lay ahead? Only time would tell. The ghostly presence. Aku's encounter with the ghost left her shaken and confused. She couldn't shake off the feeling that her life was about to change forever. As she walked home, she felt a sense of trepidation, unsure of what lay ahead. That night, Aku couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the ghost and the strange occurrences surrounding her. She wondered if she was truly cursed, or if there was something more sinister at play. As she lay in bed, she felt a presence in her room, watching her. She knew that the ghost was back. The ghost's presence was palpable, and Aku could feel his eyes on her. She tried to ignore him, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that he was waiting for something. Suddenly, the ghost spoke to her, his voice low and husky. "Aku, my beauty," he whispered. "I've been watching you for a long time." Aku's heart skipped a beat as she realized that the ghost was communicating with her. She felt a mix of fear and curiosity, unsure of what to make of the situation. The ghost's presence seemed to fill the room, and Aku felt like she was trapped in a world beyond her own. As the night wore on, Aku began to learn more about the ghost's backstory. He told her about his life, his death, and the reason behind his haunting presence. Aku listened intently, her mind racing with questions. She wanted to understand the ghost's motivations and the purpose of his visits. The ghost's name was Ejiro, and he had been a young man when he died. He had been in love with a woman who had rejected him, and his death had been a tragic accident. Ejiro's spirit had lingered, unable to move on. He had been drawn to Aku's beauty and kindness, and he had been visiting her every night. Aku felt a sense of empathy for Ejiro, and she began to understand the depth of his emotions. She realized that Ejiro's presence was not malevolent, but rather a manifestation of his love and longing. As she looked into his eyes, she felt a connection that she couldn't explain. But as the days went by, Aku began to notice strange occurrences around her. Objects would move on their own, and she would hear whispers in her ear when no one was around. She knew that Ejiro's presence was growing stronger, and she wasn't sure if she could handle it. Aku's friends and family began to notice the changes in her, and they grew concerned. They didn't understand what was happening, and they didn't know how to help her. Aku felt like she was losing control, and she didn't know how to stop the supernatural forces that were at play. As the tension built, Aku knew that she had to find a way to communicate with Ejiro and understand his presence. She couldn't shake off the feeling that Ejiro's presence was connected to the strange occurrences surrounding her, and she needed to uncover the truth. But as she looked into Ejiro's eyes, she felt a sense of trepidation. What would she discover? And how would it change her life forever? The unknown was looming, and Aku wasn't sure if she was ready to face it. Unraveling the mystery. Aku's determination to uncover the truth about Ejiro's presence grew stronger with each passing day. She began to research the history of her family and the possible connections to Ejiro's death. She spent hours poring over old documents and talking to her relatives, hoping to find some clue that would explain the strange occurrences. As she dug deeper, Aku discovered that her family had a long and complex history. She learned about the struggles they had faced, the triumphs they had achieved, and the secrets they had kept hidden. And then, she stumbled upon a revelation that changed everything. Aku's ancestors had been involved in a centuries-old tradition that had been passed down through generations. It was a tradition that was shrouded in mystery and secrecy, and Aku had never heard of it before. But as she learned more about it, she realized that it was connected to Ejiro's presence. The tradition was centered around the worship of a particular deity, one that was believed to grant wishes and protection to those who appeased it. Aku's ancestors had been devotees of this deity, and they had made sacrifices and offerings to ensure their prosperity and safety. But as Aku learned more about the tradition, she began to realize that it was not just a simple matter of worship. There were darker forces at play, forces that had been unleashed by the tradition and had taken on a life of their own. And Ejiro's presence was connected to these forces. Aku's heart sank as she realized the true nature of Ejiro's presence. She had thought that he was just a lost soul, but now she saw that he was something more. He was a manifestation of the darker forces that had been unleashed by her family's tradition. As Aku grappled with this new understanding, she knew that she had to make a choice. She could continue to live in ignorance, pretending that everything was fine, or she could take action and try to change the course of her life. The decision was not easy, but Aku knew what she had to do. She would confront the forces that had been unleashed by her family's tradition, and she would find a way to stop them. It wouldn't be easy, but Aku was determined to take control of her life and her destiny. She would uncover the truth, no matter what it took. With a newfound sense of determination, Aku set out on a journey to uncover the truth about her family's tradition and the forces that had been unleashed. She knew that it wouldn't be an easy journey, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The unknown was still looming, but Aku felt a sense of hope. She knew that she had the power to change her life, and she was determined to use it. As she looked to the future, Aku felt a sense of anticipation. What would she discover? And how would it change her life forever? The journey ahead was uncertain, but Aku was ready to face it head-on. The dark secret. Aku's journey to uncover the truth about her family's tradition and the forces that had been unleashed was not an easy one. She faced many challenges and obstacles along the way, but she refused to give up. She was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it took. As she dug deeper, Aku discovered that her family's tradition was more complex and sinister than she had initially thought. She learned about the dark rituals and sacrifices that had been performed in the name of the deity, and she realized that Ejiro's presence was just one manifestation of the darker forces that had been unleashed. Aku's heart sank as she realized the true nature of her family's tradition. She had always thought that her family was good and decent, but now she saw that they had been involved in something dark and sinister. She felt a sense of betrayal and anger, and she didn't know how to process her emotions. As Aku grappled with her newfound understanding, she knew that she had to confront the forces that had been unleashed by her family's tradition. She couldn't just sit back and do nothing, knowing that these forces were still at play. She decided to seek out the help of a spiritual leader who might be able to guide her through this difficult time. The spiritual leader, a wise and kind woman named Mama Ejo, listened to Aku's story and offered her guidance and support. She explained that the forces that had been unleashed by Aku's family tradition were powerful and malevolent, and that they would not give up easily. But she also assured Aku that she had the power to overcome them, and that she would be able to find a way to move forward. With Mama Ejo's guidance, Aku began to learn more about the spiritual world and the forces that were at play. She learned about the different types of spirits and entities that existed, and she began to understand the nature of Ejiro's presence. She also learned about the rituals and incantations that could be used to protect herself and to cleanse her space of negative energy. As Aku learned more about the spiritual world, she began to feel a sense of empowerment. She realized that she had the power to control her own destiny, and that she didn't have to be a victim of the forces that had been unleashed by her family's tradition. She felt a sense of hope and determination, and she knew that she would be able to overcome the challenges that lay ahead. But just as Aku was starting to feel more confident, she received a warning from Mama Ejo. "Aku, be careful," she said. "The forces that you're dealing with are powerful and malevolent. They will not give up easily, and they will try to stop you from uncovering the truth. You need to be careful and prepared, or you could face serious consequences." Aku's heart skipped a beat as she heard Mama Ejo's warning. She knew that she was taking a risk by pursuing this path, but she was determined to uncover the truth. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and she was confident that she would emerge victorious. But as she looked to the future, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was walking into a trap. The resolution. Aku's journey had been long and arduous, but she had finally uncovered the truth about her family's tradition and the forces that had been unleashed. She had learned about the dark rituals and sacrifices that had been performed in the name of the deity, and she had realized that Ejiro's presence was just one manifestation of the darker forces that had been unleashed. With Mama Ejo's guidance, Aku had been able to confront the forces that had been unleashed by her family's tradition. She had performed rituals and incantations to protect herself and to cleanse her space of negative energy. She had also learned how to defend herself against the malevolent forces that were at play. As Aku looked back on her journey, she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had faced her fears and overcome the challenges that had been in her way. She had uncovered the truth about her family's tradition and the forces that had been unleashed, and she had found a way to move forward. But Aku knew that her journey was not over yet. She still had to deal with the consequences of her family's actions, and she had to find a way to make things right. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to do what was right. With a newfound sense of purpose, Aku set out to make amends for her family's past wrongdoings. She worked with Mama Ao to perform rituals and incantations that would help to cleanse her family's history and to bring peace to the spirits that had been affected. As Aku worked to make amends, she felt a sense of healing and closure. She knew that she had done the right thing, and she felt a sense of pride and satisfaction. She had faced her fears and overcome the challenges that had been in her way, and she had emerged stronger and wiser. In the end, Aku's journey had taught her a valuable lesson. She had learned that the past is not always what it seems, and that the truth can be hidden behind a veil of secrets and lies. But she had also learned that it's never too late to make things right, and that the power to change the course of our lives is always within us. Aku's story came full circle as she looked to the future with a sense of hope and determination. She knew that she would face challenges and obstacles along the way, but she was ready to face them head-on. She was no longer the same person who had been haunted by Ejiro's presence, and she was confident that she would be able to overcome any obstacle that came her way. The darkness that had once seemed so overwhelming was now nothing more than a distant memory, a reminder of the journey that Aku had undertaken. She had faced her fears and overcome them, and she had emerged stronger and wiser. And as she looked to the future, Aku knew that she would always be able to find her way, no matter what challenges lay ahead.